The US dollar reigns supreme in global finance. It's the world's primary reserve currency. This gives the United States immense economic and political clout. Countries rely on the dollar for trade and investment. This reliance allows the US to exert influence on the global stage. It can use the dollar as leverage in political disputes. The dollar's dominance is rooted in history. After World War II, the US emerged as a global superpower. Its economy was strong and its currency was stable. Other nations adopted the dollar for international transactions. This system benefited the US. It could borrow money at lower rates. It could also print more dollars without triggering inflation at home. However, this privileged position is not unassailable. The global landscape is shifting. New economic powers are emerging. They are questioning the dollar's dominance. These countries are seeking alternatives to reduce their dependence on the US. The rise of China is a prime example. China's economy has grown exponentially in recent decades. It is now the world's second largest economy. China is challenging the US in various sectors, including trade and technology. It is also promoting its own currency, the yuan, as an international alternative. BRICS is an acronym that stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These 5 nations represent a formidable economic bloc. They have been steadily increasing their global influence. BRICS nations are home to a significant portion of the world's population and natural resources. One of the key goals of BRICS is to reduce reliance on the US dollar. They're exploring ways to conduct trade and investment in their own currencies. This desire for financial independence stems from several factors. First, BRICS nations are wary of the political leverage the US wields through the dollar. They have witnessed how the US has used sanctions to punish countries that don't toe its line. Second, BRICS nations believe that a multipolar world requires a multipolar financial system. They argue that their current system, dominated by the US dollar, is outdated and unfair. Third, BRICS nations see an opportunity to promote their own currencies and financial institutions. They believe that a BRICS-centric financial system would benefit their economies and reduce their vulnerability to external shocks. Donald Trump's presidency was marked by protectionist trade policies. He believed that the US was being taken advantage of in trade deals. He imposed tariffs on goods from China, Mexico, Canada, and the European Union. These tariffs were taxes on imported goods. Trump argued that these tariffs were necessary to protect American jobs and industries. He claimed that other countries were engaging in unfair trade practices, such as dumping cheap goods on the US market. In a particularly bold move, Trump threatened to impose 100% tariffs on goods from BRICS nations. This threat was seen as a direct challenge to the emerging economic bloc. Trump was essentially saying that he would not tolerate any attempts to undermine the US dollar or the global trading system. This aggressive stance sent shockwaves through the global economy. Businesses and investors were left wondering what the consequences of a full-blown trade war would be. Some experts warned that Trump's tariffs would backfire, leading to higher prices for consumers, job losses, and slower economic growth. Others argued that the tariffs were a necessary step to protect American interests. The impact of Trump's tariff threats on BRICS nations was mixed. Some countries, such as China, were hit harder than others. China is the world's largest exporter, and the US is its biggest trading partner. The tariffs imposed by the Trump administration disrupted supply chains and hurt Chinese businesses. India, another major BRICS economy, also felt the heat. The US is India's largest export market, and tariffs on Indian goods, such as steel and aluminum, had a significant impact. Indian businesses were forced to find new markets or absorb the higher costs. Brazil, a major exporter of agricultural products, was also affected by the trade tensions. The US is a major buyer of Brazilian soybeans, and tariffs on these exports hurt Brazilian farmers. In response to Trump's tariffs, BRICS nations retaliated with their own tariffs on US goods. China imposed tariffs on American soybeans, automobiles, and other products. India targeted American agricultural products such as almonds and apples. Brazil imposed tariffs on American products such as wheat and ethanol. These tit-for-tat tariffs escalated the trade war and raised concerns about a global economic slowdown. Section 5. Fallout in the US. higher prices and supply chain chaos. Trump's tariffs had a ripple effect throughout the US economy. Consumers felt the pinch of higher prices on a wide range of goods, from washing machines to cars. Businesses faced higher costs for raw materials and components, which they either absorbed or passed on to consumers. These tariffs also disrupted supply chains. Businesses that relied on imports from China and other countries had to find alternative suppliers or faced delays and shortages. This disruption caused uncertainty and added to the cost of doing business. Certain industries were hit particularly hard by the tariffs. The agricultural sector, for example, suffered from retaliatory tariffs imposed by China and other countries. American farmers lost access to key export markets, leading to lower prices and financial hardship. The manufacturing sector also felt the pain. Tariffs on steel and aluminum, for example, raised costs for manufacturers that use these materials. This made American-made goods less competitive in the global market. Section 6. De-dollarization, a distant dream or an emerging reality. The idea of de-dollarization or reducing reliance on the US dollar has been gaining traction in recent years. This is partly driven by concerns about the U.S. willingness to use the dollar as a weapon. It is also driven by a desire for a more multipolar financial system that reflects the shifting balance of power in the global economy. BRICS nations have been at the forefront of this movement. They have been exploring ways to conduct trade and investment in their own currencies. For example, they have established the New Development Bank, a multilateral development bank that provides an alternative to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. However, de-dollarization is a complex and challenging process. The US dollar is deeply entrenched in the global financial system. It is the currency of choice for international trade, investment, and reserve holdings. Moreover, there are significant challenges to creating a viable alternative to the dollar. Any new reserve currency would need to be stable, liquid, and widely accepted. It would also need to be backed by a strong economy and sound monetary policies. Section 7. Expert opinions. Weighing the risks and possibilities. Experts are divided on the likelihood and potential impact of de-dollarization. Some believe that it's only a matter of time before the US dollar loses its dominance. They point to the growing economic power of China and other emerging markets, as well as the increasing use of alternative currencies for international transactions. Other experts argue that the dollar's demise is greatly exaggerated. They point to the depth and liquidity of US financial markets, the strength of the US economy, and the lack of a viable alternative. They believe that the dollar will continue to be the world's leading reserve currency for the foreseeable future. The debate over de-dollarization is not just about economics, it is also about geopolitics. The US dollar gives the United States immense power and influence in the world. Any shift away from the dollar would have significant implications for the global balance of power. Section 8. A world divided, the future of global trade and finance. The future of global trade and finance is uncertain. The COVID-19 pandemic, the war in Ukraine, and rising geopolitical tensions have created a volatile and unpredictable environment. The rules-based trading system that has governed the global economy for decades is under strain. Protectionism is on the rise. Countries are increasingly resorting to tariffs, quotas, and other trade barriers to protect their domestic industries. This trend is fueled by a backlash against globalization, as well as by concerns about national security and economic competitiveness. At the same time, there is a growing recognition of the need for cooperation and multilateralism. The world faces common challenges such as climate change, pandemics, and economic inequality that require global solutions. Section 9. Conclusion: navigating a turbulent economic landscape. The global economy is at a crossroads. The old order, dominated by the United States and the US dollar, is being challenged. New powers are emerging, and the rules of the game are changing. Navigating this turbulent landscape requires careful consideration of the risks and opportunities. The United States needs to adapt to this changing reality. It needs to work with its allies to strengthen the rules-based trading system and to address the concerns of developing countries. At the same time, the United States needs to be prepared to defend its interests. It cannot allow itself to be taken advantage of in trade deals or to be held hostage by countries that seek to undermine the global order. The future of the global economy depends on the choices that countries make today. If countries choose cooperation and openness, they can create a more prosperous and equitable world. If they choose conflict and protectionism, they risk a future of economic stagnation and geopolitical instability.
So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and let's turn the page on a new adventure together. Get ready to experience books like never before, only on VBook 360. Like, comment, and share to support the channel and keep the video magic alive. Thank you for stopping by. And remember, every video has a story, and every story deserves to be shared. See you in the next video.